Good morning. It's Sunday morning. It's 9 o'clock, and here I am, Norma Cowie, with a Sunday thought. Well, I nearly didn't make it this morning because I slept in a little late going to bed, forgot to set an alarm, which I usually do. My time's all sort of sorted out and organized. And so it's kind of been a rush around here. But I wanted to talk about self-forgiveness today because yesterday I had psychic readings, mini ones, a lot, quite a few of them back to back during the day, and I always record my work and then send the recording to the person. But for some reason, when I stopped, my recorder, well, they're getting old, so like plugging it in wouldn't plug in, wouldn't do whatever. So I was like left with these readings that I couldn't send to people. I sent the first one, but after that I couldn't. So I spent the rest of the day running around. So basically in the morning, I had done all these readings. So the rest of the day, I was still trying to figure out how I could get to send the recordings. And it ended up going to the store, going and looking, and what I've got is not really what's available. I thought I bought a new one. When I got it home, I realized it wasn't what I wanted. So now today I have to go back and return it. But anyway, it was kind of all afternoon trying to figure out how I could get the recordings on. And what I ended up doing was erasing a whole lot. Now that was after what I'd done the day before. Something had gone on. And it was kind of like, what is happening here? Running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Oh, yes. And sort of similar where I had messed up something. So today our topic is self-forgiveness, because when things don't go the way you want them to, rather than beat yourself up and feel bad and kind of self-criticize, you got to take a breath and begin to think a little bit more about how you can compensate, what you can do. So I ended up very quickly sending off some emails last night saying, look, I'm sorry that the recordings are gone. Luckily, a little bit of the reading, sometimes I mentioned that I remembered the main points. So I'm going to have to work that out. And also to the day before when I messed up, because again, so it was like I had 2 days of things where you could feel really guilty, beat yourself up, and which would be my old way of doing things. But doesn't help when we get into, feeling sorry for ourselves, wishing we had done something different, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I thought would be a good just Sunday thought, because this is what I'm having to do, is make good to a degree of a screw up that happened. Trying to fix something, I messed it up and erased all the recordings. So we often don't do self-forgiveness. We often don't forgive ourselves for being human, for having things turn out a little differently than we wanted them to. And I find that all it does is make our vibration, we could say, less than. It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't give a solution, except this, I have a solution. And today, when I'm a little less frazzled, because I was just so upset when I realized I had inadvertently erased everything. And it also made me realize that there were signs that this was beginning to happen with this particular little recording equipment. And I had sort of overlooked it because it was still working. And so it was when it all of a sudden stopped working, and then all of a sudden everything is supposed to be recorded on this little object, and it wasn't communicating to the computer so I could send it back out. Things happen, and we're not always excellent, or we're not always right on the money, or we're not always on everything that needs to do. We may be tired, we may be or we just didn't catch it quick enough, etc. So what is our answer? Self-beat? I've done a lot of that in my life, beat myself up sometimes for days. Like, how could I have done that? How could I have been like, and I did work all afternoon. I ran out to the store. I came back. I looked. I tried to figure out was something, not recording from one to another so I could do it. Nothing seemed to be working the way I wanted to do. And so now, Sunday, I'm going to need to go back out, return what I bought, and go to a different store and see if they have what I want. This is somebody who's still getting strong enough to be able to even walk. I actually walked our local mall yesterday. And this is new. So there's lots to celebrate, as long as, as well as beating yourself. You can't beating yourself up. That doesn't achieve what the main result is. To know that I've always done the best I can. Always. And when it hasn't worked out, or when it hasn't been successful, I had a tendency then to do what, we call self-beat up, blame yourself, go on and on. But I've learned that isn't really the most productive way, because when you do that, when you beat yourself down, you're all caught up in whatever went on. What ends up happening is that you don't achieve. It usually affects other things, because you're down on yourself, or you wish you had a different way and a different perception of how to do it. But so based on the last couple of days, when it seemed that things didn't go the way I wanted them to go, and I'm going to do figure out how I'm going to correct, because people, even though it was a very good price for what I was offering, it's still, they want to hear what a lot of people want to rehear, and I know that. So I have to figure out how I'm going to compensate for that for them, because I really felt bad yesterday. But I realized feeling bad isn't going to help the situation. I have to accept it. Acceptance is big. And know that there's a solution. I think I've found the solution. And then I've got to put out another email to everyone and correct that, so that we have, and luckily, one of my clients had recorded what I had said, so they have it. So that's good. But most people were counting on me to record it, to send it to them. And of course, it's in the ethers now. It's deleted. Oh no. So I turned to my tarot cards last night to say, what am I going to do here? And for those that know tarot, this is what I came up with. The Queen of Cups, sitting here imagining, and it's a procrastination card as well, because there's nothing you can do. And so late afternoon, it was early evening, I typed out a letter saying, it's gone, they're all gone, and I can't send them out. So I'm waiting now for responses. I've had a couple. So, but yeah, you sit and I want you to explain. I want to explain this a little bit more, because see this cup, it looks nothing like the regular cups. It's exaggerated. And that's what we do when we get upset about something. We exaggerate it. And so that's why forgiveness of self is really important, because you cannot be productive if you're beating yourself up. You cannot find a solution if you're beating yourself up. You cannot get on with things if you're beating yourself up. The key is recognize that it's the bigger love story, that you're loved by the divine and all is forgiven. That's the big message anyway. So why can't we forgive ourselves and then begin to rectify what needs to be rectified. Having clarity of mind is a very, very important thing. And so that's where we're going to go. So that's my thought for today. I'm still a little scrambled because, as I said in the beginning, I slept in. Normally I set my alarm, but yesterday I was upset because I'd messed up. And I woke up and went, really? It's that time? And it's called about getting into action. So anyway, I trust your Sunday will be wonderful and great. I will be back tomorrow night with mental mind treatments. And thank goodness not about recording. And I'll hopefully will have solved my issue with how we're going to record it. Otherwise, I have to figure everything else and make a whole new perspective. Wish you well. Have a great day. Just remember to love yourselves. And if there is anything niggling in your mind about something that you didn't do as well as you should have or wanted to, etc., just remember their energy of love is everywhere. Love yourself, accept yourself, forgive yourself. You have a great Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye now.